Hello there, fellow survivors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA, episode 14, The First Snow of Winter. So after I build the pick, if you want me to continue tool smithing, you can vote for it. But I'm going to have a new poll up on what I work on after this. But one thing that you might have noted is all of the tools have been transferred over here to the tool storage, because the tool storage is a higher priority than the crafting huts themselves, which is actually really convenient, so that you can, at a glance, see all of the tools. Because if you have your crafting huts on, like, opposite ends of your base, it's going to be harder to take stock of what you have and what you need. And it also looks like the charcoal's done, so we have plenty of charcoal for future batches. So, as I mentioned before, I am attempting a batch of 6 this time around. Cheers. And let's go ahead and have you guys vote on next project after I'm done with the pick. And even with the pick, I'll have a little bit of metal left over because the pick costs 4, I believe, and I don't need 4. I don't need the 6. So we'll have 2 blooms for future projects. I did, however, forget to do a quick nap for the stamina bonus for this. So this might be a little harder to smelt 6. Because, yeah, my stamina is not going to keep up with this technique. So as far as building a structure goes, there's one other structure that I might consider besides new lodging, which is the chieftain's house, which is the shack that the player uses, and it does provide personal storage. Yeah, I should have napped. Oh well. We're not gonna get it this time, and that's because I didn't have the stamina for it. Completely self-inflicted. In fact, not only that, but we're gonna have like a small batch here. Ouch. Oh well. Road got messed up because of the outhouse? Yeah, I figured, it's fine. Roads are cheap. You can see my smithing numbers are a lot higher now with the new tools. Making this a lot faster. Luckily for the pick, I only needed the 4. So for reference, this is what I'm working towards, which is the crude iron pickaxe. And it needs a iron pickaxe head. And an iron pickaxe head costs... Oh, actually, it costs 3. So I have 1 more than I need. And it seems... Oh, fall is coming to an end. I just got an alert. So, I might need to commandeer this next project. I can start the next project, but I think I'm going to need to roll out villager clothing as a higher priority as a result of the season change, more than anything else. Because without villagers' clothing, they're all going to be extraordinarily unproductive in the winter. Especially those that have to venture far from the base, like hunters and woodcutters, gatherers. Anyone that has to go out into the wilderness will basically get halfway to their workplace, freeze, and have to run on back. Alright, now that we have that, I need to pick up one stick to make the pick. Sweet. So I have a pretty good set of metal tools. The only metal tool I don't have right now that I would use commonly would be the skinning knife. Not a big deal to not have that one. So, I'm going to set up a new construction project while I work towards clothing. And I think for that, I am going to need to cut down some trees myself. So what I'm aiming to do is I'm aiming to build a Longhouse, which is it's the best possible house that you can house people in. And I was planning on putting it here, next to the old cottage. Meaning I'm going to need to chop some trees down, flatten out the space, and it is a pretty resource-intensive, building, but you can shove, I mean, if you really wanted to, like, pack them in for big morale penalties, you could probably put 10 people in a longhouse. There's also, unlike the cottages, the longhouses can be expanded. I personally don't really like the expanded versions of the longhouse. I prefer to build individual longhouses rather than, like, one mega house. Especially given that if the one mega house gets destroyed, everybody's dehomed, which can be really rotten. But getting at least one longhouse will allow our population to climb from, like, 8 to maybe 14 or something like that. Can you repair broken tools? Yes. So the way metal tools work is once my metal axe breaks, I get the axe head back, and I just need to put a new stick on it. Super, super easy to do. But stone tools shatter. They are they don't get repaired. So the real advantage of going up to metal tools is they last a lot longer, and once you've manufactured them, they're cheap to upkeep and quick to upkeep. I updated the priority now. Build a longhouse and make clothing for winter. Just the right level. Yes. So we got some levels for the houses. And the longhouse that I want is... Here's the cost. So we have wood shafts, wood beams, wood posts, wood planks, lots of stone, and nails. I'm going to need to make some more nails. I'll use the last two blooms I have to make nails, thatch, and rope. One thing I can start on is to... Rather than do the leveling, which honestly is boring, and plus I don't actually have an employed carpenter, is to start with the carpentry requirements. I think what I'll do is I'll temporarily hire one of my villagers as a carpenter to do some of the carpentry requirements until I can find a villager that does carpentry well. But the player levels up in carpentry like extraordinarily fast. So it doesn't take very long to become like a god tier carpenter, able to like whip up carpentry projects in a blink of the eye. you know, just shaving the bark off of this one stump, I've leveled up twice. Something else I might want is storage in here for large carpentry stuff, so that we can actually build up a reasonable supply of large carpentry materials. It will leave a void. Actually, no, it won't. It'll be fine. We're gonna do large carpentry materials there, and on the other side as well. Because it would be really nice if I could build up a large surplus of carpentry stuff, and then be able to draw from it when we have large projects to build. Oh, I can't put that there yet. So for this carpentry project, I also need nails. So I might as well cook up, I'm going to do another batch of metal for nails, because it looks like both the Longhouse and the carpentry storage are going to need nails. So I might as well get some nails. On top of that, a lot of the projects that we're working on right now require rope, so I'm going to do a big batch of rope as well. Oh, look! More weapons that we can make. So battle axes, warhammers, better shields, and a longbow. Alright, we have lots of rope, so they have something to draw from. My next task is to get the resting stamina bonus, if there's a free bed anywhere. And because we do have a night shift, during the early morning hours, at least 2 people are out working stuff, which leaves me an open bed to use. I'll do the clothing eventually. It's not quite winter yet, and then winter only gets colder as it proceeds, so like early winter is still not so cold that it's going to freeze everyone. And you can see the temperature in the top right. So for that, let's try that batch of 6 that we were going for before. That I have slightly higher skills and more stamina. There we go. And hopefully this will allow me to do all 6. If it doesn't work, I'll just stick to batches of 5 until my level's a little bit higher. I think it will work. Come on. Convert. Ah, no. Alright, I'll stick to 5. I ran out of, like, air in the bellows right at the end there. And had to release to fill the bellows back up, and so it was so close. Probably, honestly, after this batch of blacksmithing, I'll be high enough level to do 6s. But at least we got 5 out of this batch rather than the 4 from the batch previous, so still an improvement. So for this metal that I've got, maybe I'll make myself a skinning knife. And then the rest of the metal will go to nails. So 15 nails and a skinning knife. We're going to need more nails than that. The Longhouse itself is 15 nails. And I need 7 more than that. But it's close enough that, you know, we'll do a little bit more and get the materials. The nails, I think, are one of the last... Well, I don't know when we added to the Longhouse, but it's not one of the first phases. There also seems to be some warning over the builders. They probably need small stone, I'd imagine. But I could be wrong about that. Winter is here. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'll make sure that the crop rotation's all set. And then once we have flattened out the zone for the Longhouse, I'll start to do clothing. This is our first winter. One of the more important things to do in the winter is to make sure that you have firewood and fire keepers to keep the fires going so that people can warm up, because if you don't have those things, they can end up being hypothermic. I'll deliver the nails myself. And then I think my builders are waiting for the wooden beams. But what I'll do is I'll give them a job for flattening. Just so that they can be remaining productive. The Chieftain House looks pretty much identical to the cottage, with like slightly different colorations. So it doesn't look like a Longhouse really at all. And these guys are probably saying can't find any wooden beams, so I'm gonna crank out 3 wooden beams for them, and then get clothing making. They flatten that quick. And you'll start to see the blue wheel on the bottom left, which is my how cold I am wheel, move a bit. I mean, I have some clothing. Oops. I have some clothing, so I'm not like gonna immediately freeze, but it will definitely be evident when I get cold. And if you get too cold, you start to get sick. Oh, they wanted beams, not... Oh, okay. I made the wrong thing. I need the skinny logs. Luckily, there's a big old supply here. Given the ambient temperature, I might want to focus more on clothing sooner. I was hoping to get this done. So in terms of terminology, beams are the skinny birch. These bad boys. And then its posts are the other ones. So you've got planks, which are chopped in half. Posts, which are the logs that are debarked. And then shafts, which are the long ones chopped in half. And they're already making one of the storages. And then whoever's... I forget who's assigned to the warehouse, but they'll start pulling the supply out of carpentry to store it in there, which is ideal, because then we can stockpile a lot more. I like how they're both competing over it. If I'm not mistaken, I can just leave this in the horse. And they'll pull it off of the horse. I don't actually need to deliver this one. Is that true? Oh, no. Maybe they need me to dehorse it. There you go. So now we have the storages that we wanted. Time for clothing. And at this point, I'm also going to adjust the grow cycle. So, tasks. I could do beetroot, but I just want more flax for now. Flax is an all-season crop, so you don't really need to worry about seasons for flax. And it should be flat enough now that, yeah, I can wedge a longhouse in here. I'm going to try to set it... I wanted to set it as far back as I could, but it looks like I have even more space than I realized, so I'm going to flatten it out even more. And what you'll start to see is the people in the village that get the most cold are going to start huddling around the kitchen fire. So one of the reasons why I put the kitchen fire in the middle of everything is so that the time it takes to get to somewhere warm is shortest. Because if you have your kitchen off to like one edge of your colony, it's going to take a while for people to run over to it. One thing I wish there was like a ability to queue up a batch here, because there isn't. Like, I have to do it individually like that. There is the task, but tasks are assigned to villagers. They're not the method that the player queues up work. And for now, I'm just queuing up flimsy stuff. If you guys want me to focus on improving gear, I can try to roll out nicer clothing. Or full sets of clothing, so they have hoods and gloves and boots. I'll leave that up to you. In fact, I do have that structure, the longhouse, that's going to be built. And I'm going to queue that up regardless. But if you want to vote for the next project, feel free to vote. And crafting skill really going up now. That's what I like to see. And my villagers should be scooping these crafted clothing up to wear. So I'm making 3 sets of shirts, pants, and cape right now, and then... Oh, I'm the village tailor. You don't? Oh, there's actually already outfits on this rack. Someone hadn't pulled them all. Which is a pretty good indicator that, like, they're not needed. You know, if these slots are filled and no one's pulled from them, I don't need to make more. So let's make thick linen hoods, so what, 18 and 12? And at least the blizzards are going away, so it's going to be a little bit easier to stay warm. But I think all the flax that we grew is going to really good use right now. And this is why I kept telling you guys, farm the hell out of flax. Honestly, I could probably even get more farmland. I don't think my farmer is at maximum work capacity. Farm the hell out of flax and focus on obtaining food through your hunter. Because you're going to need the leather from that anyway. Alright, what about boots? We're gonna do... Honestly, the cost of the simple leather boots is not that much higher, so let's get the leather scraps from the hunter for simple leather boots. And the current priority is improve gear for the villagers. And I don't think this tier of hunter, it's the next tier hunter that has like leather storage. So our current hunter doesn't actually have the ability to stockpile that stuff. So I need 3 and 6. And it looks like they're already grabbing from the racks. So what I'm planning on doing is just trying to keep the racks full of sets of clothing so that there's always some clothing for whoever needs it to be grabbed. I don't even... Do I have leather boots? No. So I guess I'm keeping the first pair. And that'll keep me, Oh, wow, they stripped that one. How big is the leather storage module for the warehouse? It's not very big, but until you start hunting things that drop leather, you don't typically get a lot of leather. You can get leather pretty easy by killing the wolfars, the wolves. So I could go leather hunting, if I wanted to. Which might make sense given that you guys voted for better gear. But at the moment, it's just cheaper, faster, easier for me to roll out linen clothing. Because even simple, like a full set of linen clothing is going to be enough to keep most of the villagers warm enough throughout the day that they don't have to stop at campfires too often. Clothing does get tattered, yes. It takes a while. It lasts a while, but you can see hit points on my clothing. So like my shirt right now is 1900 out of 2000. So it's worn down by 5%. Oh my god, I just put a set there. It's already gone. Well, my villagers are at least putting it to good use. They don't really only pick stuff up in their downtime. But, my goodness. As soon as I make clothing, it just disappears. Which means I'm putting my efforts where it's worth. Right? Like, that's not a bad thing. I just don't think I have a lot more flax. No, I am bingo flax. There might be some in the gatherer's hut. And then I can always make flax with bark. Or fibers, I should say. Nope, none in the gatherer's hut. Okay. I might need to bark some up. So when you have a limited amount of flax, you should be going for bang for your buck in terms of insulation. So taking a look at the materials here, a shirt gives 210 cold resistance for 7 linen. Pants give 162 for 8 linen. So obviously shirts are better than pants. The linen caps give a 2 to 72 ratio, but they also require linen thread. You know, capes are really decent ratio, or not as decent ratio, rather. So I'm just focusing on like shirts and pants for now, as they're sort of the cheapest set in order to put clothing on your villagers' backs. But I am now essentially bingo fiber. So unless I want to make fiber from scratch through bark, I'm not going to be able to make too many more clothing. So what I'll do is I'll craft like another set or so, and then pivot to the next priority of maybe hunting for leather. I think that might be reasonable if you guys vote for it again. Cheers. But as far as first winter goes, getting the amount of clothing that I have already made out to your villagers is a really good start, unless you've really ballooned your population out. And that's yet another reason not to go for super big population right off the bat, is it's going to be really hard to sufficiently clothe a really large village before first winter. So that's why I kept the population, I wouldn't say artificially low, but like low enough that I can support and supply. So I've enough linen for one more top and bottom set. And I feel like I've done at least 8 of these, so I have a hard time believing that anyone is actually naked at this point. And I can go through their equipment tabs to make sure that that is indeed the case. I might actually have to physically see them. I don't know if I can see their gear from here. But it's nighttime, so I know where most of them are sleeping. Additionally, there is a fireplace inside of the bedrooms. And the fireplace inside the bedrooms provide heat for anyone sleeping in there. So it's a really good way for them to heat up that way as well. With that in mind, I'm going to grab some firewood and actually make sure the fuel stays up for them. Yeah, it's annoying that I don't have like a tabled view of their equipment. So Yaman here needs clothing. Turtle does not. Major Mildew does not. Scrap Code does not. So that's one set of 4. Honestly, I should have grabbed charcoal rather than firewood. Charcoal's way better efficient than that. And then for these guys, clothed. Partially clothed. So I need 2 top and bottom sets. And I believe we already have that. So I think I've made enough clothing for everybody to stay sufficiently warm enough to not freeze their butts off. Having checked everyone. Because I think I have top and bottom. And top. I have an entirely spare set at this point. Awesome. Alright, back to what I was originally working on, which was the Longhouse. I hadn't forgotten. Just waiting for them to flatten it out. So I wanted to set the Longhouse kind of as far back as I can. And the Longhouse isn't going to be my priority to work on unless you guys vote for it. So if you want me to potentially do some more leather working, vote for improved gear. If you want me to focus on actually getting the house built, vote for that. I'm happy to focus on whatever you guys make a priority. And I didn't actually make my skinning knife, did I? So for that I need a stick and 2 ropes. So let's actually get the skinning knife made, too. Especially if I'm going to be going for leather, because skinning wolves with a stone knife sucks, comparatively. Lady Disdain, thank you for the resub. And I'm lazy, so I'm going to stick my old tool just like here. They'll move it where it needs to be. So to show you the difference of fuel efficiencies, you've just saw the fuel efficiency of, like, firewood. So I'm going to restoke the fire here. And it's, like, twice the bang for the buck for, like, half the cost. So 4 pieces of charcoal basically fills up past 100%, which is awesome. I have read about the new update, yes. I'm not going to cover that stuff until it becomes relevant to what I'm working on, though. I'm not Captain Patch Notes. Now, it looks like you guys want me to improve gear. So, what I'm going to be doing is killing some wolfars. So I'm going to show the wolfar den on the compass. I'm not going to be killing the wolfar boss. Kill wolves for leather and pelts. For better clothing. And given how I don't necessarily want to be, like, constrained to sitting around in the village all the time, I think it makes a lot of sense for me to get myself, like, the best insulated clothing possible. Are there specific foods for warmth? I believe garlic helps you ward off cold. Yeah. So this is the first time I'm, for lack of a better term, messing with, like, boss spawners. So, little spoiler, but... Oh, this isn't the wolfar den. Good job, me. It looked like one. There are, like, corpse piles, for lack of a better term, of where there is, and destroying them will summon the boss. So you can kill the animals out here to your heart's content, farming them for needed material. Oh, that's not the button I meant to hit. And as long as you don't summon the boss, you'll be fine. Melee combat. Well, there goes like a bajillion wolves. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. Pun unintended, but apt. So those piles there are the boss spawners. Those big old piles of whatever they are. And I did mention this before, but if you summon the boss, you deactivate the you effectively deactivate the mobs that can come out of this thing for like a year. So in my case, if I want leather and pelts, it really is not in my best interest to clear the boss, because then wolves won't be here for a year, limiting my ability to get leather and pelts more easily. So if I did want to kill the Wolfar boss, because each, in order to like quote unquote win the game, it's a sandbox game, so it's not really winning. But in order to like progress through whatever the story or whatever you want to call it, you have to kill like one of every boss. I would pick the spawners that are further from your base, so it's easy to farm for. Not all the boss zones are like maybe worth farming though. So if you don't necessarily want like a giant supply of bones, maybe you can clear the closest cemetery, for instance. The reason why I wouldn't necessarily set the hunter flag for around here, so that they collect the meat chunks, is I would then also need to remember to remove the hunter flag for when there are wolves that are respawning here, because they will respawn. And I don't really want to get my hunter killed because I got greedy and tried to get them to harvest these hunks. So in that case, I'm just going to leave it be. Where this is meat that I might not collect. I'd rather keep my hunter alive than have a little bit more meat. I could build a sledge for the meat collection, yeah. But that's not my priority, so I'm not going to do that. All right, I am just about full up. So let's head back. And drop this, or tan this stuff, not even drop it off. Yeah, and my meat hunter is not having any problems. We have more meat that even fits in the kitchen. So it's not like that's a bottleneck that's injurious to me in any way. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Vikings.